everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about an email that I received from Colton Walters, in which he sent me this article about this massive fish kill that happened, where all these dead fish are showing up in the San Francisco Bay. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, I did a video. This was back on December 11th of 2021, where I went through all these stories, these recent stories all around the world of fish dying in huge quantities. What you see here is the description section of that video. And each one of these, except for like maybe the top three, each one of these is a different article talking about massive amounts of fish that have been killed for different reasons too, not all the same reason. I actually want to go through some of these a little bit later in the video, but first I want to read through this, and I have a few other things that's going to come up in this video, because as I was researching this, I was looking at the book of Revelation, because that was the name of my other video. The other video is called "The Second Angel Sounded: Why is so much sea life dying?" Because, you know, I'm not going to say authoritatively that this is fulfilling any portion of the book of Revelation, but I just want to look at the possibility, because there is a part where it talks about sea life dying. It also talks about ships at sea being destroyed. And I found something kind of interesting that has to do with the ships at sea. But I found out maybe what the half hour of silence actually is, because it's mentioned in the student manual, the Institute student manual for the New Testament. And I don't think it's what any of us have thought that it is. And it's all starting to kind of make sense. So don't worry, I'll get you up to speed and I'll explain what I mean. Okay, so the title of this article is "Unprecedented Red Tide Hammers San Francisco Bay, Killing Uncountable Number of Fish." A massive toxic algae bloom is killing tens of thousands of fish in the San Francisco Bay, according to the SF Baykeeper. The dominant algal species causing the bloom is Heterosigma akashiwo, which is known to form red tides. And by the way, red tides came up a few times in this other video that I did. So anyway, Heterosigma akashiwo is not toxic to humans, but does impact fish and other wildlife. It is always present in the San Francisco Bay, but hasn't bloomed like this since 2004. Some scientists say that humans are to blame for the mass fish kill. And then it goes on to talk about basically excessive sewage and stuff like that, other industrial waste that's going into the bay and causing this. And then it says, from a fish's point of view, this is a wildfire in the water. John Rosenfeld, senior scientist with SF Baykeeper, told KQED. What you see is just the hint of what's actually happening further beneath the water's surface and in places you're not going to on the shoreline. So the total fish kill really is an uncountable number. And then down here, Eileen White, executive officer of the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board, says, we've never seen anything of this magnitude. So this is an unprecedented event, although something similar happened in 2004, but it appears that this one is bigger. And this story just came out yesterday, September 1st. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get into the book of Revelation, specifically Revelation chapter 8, where it talks about the second angel that sounds. But before I get to that, I want to make sure everything's in context and show you a few things. So going back one chapter to chapter 7, the chapter heading says, John sees in the sixth seal the restoration of the gospel, the sealing of the 144,000, and the host of the exalted from all nations. Okay, because if I'm going to at all try and play around with the idea that this has to do with chapter 8 of the book of Revelation, then we should make sure that we know kind of like where we're at in the order of events. And you all know that I'm not a big like timeline person. I'm not. But anyway, let's just take a look. I'll show you what I found. Okay, so verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing upon the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed in 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, so these angels are waiting to do the destruction until the 144,000 have been sealed. And I know that this, I'm kind of like a broken record, but there's always new people joining the channel, and some that I still I think don't quite understand this concept. So 4 angels, before they can do their work, the 144,000 have to be called. Now, we learned recently, within the last couple weeks, that Wilford Woodruff said that those angels have already been released. Therefore, if those angels have been released, then the 144,000 must be referring to the early church, which makes a lot of sense, because I have a playlist called the 144,000, and nothing seems to match up with the idea that the 144,000 has not happened already. The reason why I say that is because of different comments and quotes from the early church that it had already begun, that the selection process had already started, as well as like little gems like this where Zadok Judd said that in his patriarchal blessing he was called as one of the 144,000, right? So just for the sake of what we're talking about here, let's pretend that the 144,000 have already been called, and then we hear Wilford Woodruff. Now, he actually said this at the dedication of the Salt Lake Temple, although I don't have the original document or anything where he says it. It wasn't in the prayer for the temple, but it's recorded that he had said it. Joseph Fielding Smith heard him say it, and Joseph Fielding Smith backs up this prophecy, or what he says here about the angels. So this is what he says. Sorry, and I guess I better say when he said this, by the way, because it's not just here. Down here, the source says the discourses of Wilford Woodruff, but this can actually be found in what used to be a magazine, I guess, called the Young Women's Magazine or something like that. And the year after the Salt Lake Temple was dedicated, Wilford Woodruff and others went on a temple workers excursion with the temple workers, and they went on a train and they went to like northern Utah, and they just had there was activities and stuff like that. And then at the end, it was like a multi-day event. At the end, there was like a testimony meeting, and this is what Wilford Woodruff said. He repeated what he had said at the dedication of the Salt Lake Temple. So he says, God has held the angels of destruction for many years, lest they should reap down the wheat with the tares. But I want to tell you now that those angels have left their portals of heaven and are hovering over the earth, waiting to pour out the judgments. And from this very day, they shall be poured out. Calamities and troubles are increasing in the earth, and there is meaning to these things. Remember this and reflect upon these matters. If you do your duty, and I do my duty, we'll have protection, and shall pass through the afflictions in peace and in safety. And you guys, just a side note, if you're afraid of the second coming, listen to what a prophet says, that if we do our duty, we'll have protection and we're going to pass through in peace and safety. And that's not to say that, everyone's going to escape just like perfectly fine. We're all going to probably have some things happen to us, or, people are still going to die. But generally speaking, the Lord's covenant people are going to pass through in peace and safety through these things. And he's talking about the angels of destruction, by the way. So anyway, Joseph Fielding Smith, he has another comment. I'm not going to go over that again because I already covered it in another video, and it's in one of these institute manuals. But he confirms that this was a true thing that happened. So the 144,000, that's not something that we're still waiting for, according to this. Okay, that's something that a lot of people are waiting for. They think that the 10 lost tribes have to come from a hidden place, and then 12,000 have to be called out of each tribe. And I think that those people fail to realize the symbolism of those particular scriptures. Not saying that everything in the scriptures is symbolic, but some things are. And this would seem to be one of them. I have a playlist about the 144,000. We look at the symbolism of the number. We look at actual quotes and what prophets have said about it. We look at Jewish numerology. So I feel pretty confident in that. So anyway, so we have chapter 7. The 4 angels are waiting, for the 144,000 to be sealed. That happened as of 1893. That's the year that the Salt Lake Temple was dedicated by Wilford Woodruff. Here it is right here. I'm so sorry, everyone. Now, the next chapter, chapter 8, it says, John sees fire and desolation poured out during the 7th seal and preceding the second coming. And I'm not a big fan, really, of saying exactly when the seal opened. I know that there's different theories out there about the seals, but when you look at this, okay, if you're looking at the Institute Student Manual, it gives a breakdown of it. It says that the first seal was about 4,000 to 3,000 BC, and that's the one that matches up with the white horse. That's another thing a lot of people don't understand, is they think that the white horse, the red horse, that's something that still hasn't happened. And no, it already has. Because our church has the understanding that the seals equal 1,000 years. Other churches do not have that understanding. We learned that in Doctrine and Covenants, section 77, where it's told to us that each seal represents 1,000 years. So the white horse belonged to the first 1,000 years. The red horse belonged to the next 1,000 years, 3,000 BC to 2,000 BC. The black horse, the famine horse, belonged to 2,000 to 1,000 BC. The pale horse, death, belonged to 1,000 BC to the birth of Christ. And after that, there's no more horses. So we're not waiting for horses to of course, they're symbolic, of course, but those have already taken place during the first 4,000 years of the Earth's history. But you see here that, the 7th seal is about, or the 6th seal goes from about 1,000 to about 2,000 AD. So I don't know, but, it's saying here that the 7th seal opened. And when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And we're going to look at that. Okay? We're going to look at that right now. So it could be that the 7th seal was opened at the time of the Salt Lake Temple. Okay? Because that's when the angels were released. I don't know. It says, okay, let me go down here. Sorry, I got to find the highlight. Desolation poured out. Okay, Revelation 8. John beheld a short period of silence when the 7th seal was opened, a time when angels of heaven are awaiting the command to execute the Lord's justice. Oh yeah, so maybe the silence actually happened before the Salt Lake Temple was dedicated. Zephaniah described a similar period of silence that preceded the ancient destruction of Judah. Let's take a look at that. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, "Hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice, he hath bid his guests." So at the beginning here, this is what it's referring to. Hold thy peace, okay? Before, Judah is destroyed, essentially. And then after that, the Lord's judgment and intervention are described at times when the Lord does not keep silent. So Psalm 50, verses 3 through 4. Our God shall come and shall not keep silence. And then it talks about him doing his thing. And Isaiah 65, 6. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but I will recompense, even recompense into their bosom. Following this period of silence, John saw fire and desolation poured out during the seventh seal and preceding the second coming of Christ. Because the number 7 often symbolizes completion, the destructions of the seventh seal may be seen as preparing for the completion of God's work on the earth. So it doesn't seem like it's anything more than basically you have the time where the Lord is silent. He's not unleashing his judgments yet. And then after that, he does. And it seems like that happened in 1893 when the angels were released. So at this point, and with this further knowledge here, I don't think that I'm waiting for, a 20.83 year period, because people will say, well, maybe it's talking about God's time because 1,000 years here is equal to 1 year in God's time. And therefore, when you do the calculations, a half hour equals 20.83 years. And, I could kind of see that. I'm not going to throw that out altogether. But I don't think the Lord ever really intended anybody to make that kind of calculation and then figure out that when things were going to happen. It kind of makes more sense to me that, the angels were released in 1893. And up until that point, there was a silence. There weren't like huge judgments coming upon the earth. But now they are. Okay. I think it's as simple as that. And then here it has a table where it starts to go into the 7 angels, right? The first angel, what is destroyed or harmed. The first angel does the third part of trees, and all green grass are burnt up. Bruce R. McConkie in Millennial Messiah says, hail and fire mingled with blood were cast upon the earth. Speculatively, most of the plagues and destructions here announced could be brought to pass by men themselves as they use the weapons and armaments they have created. So that's his take on it, and it could be. Although I will say, there is an instance where, let's see, let me refresh this page. There was an interesting instance where there was literal fire and hail at the same time recently. Let's see, fire, hail, right here. There followed hail and fire, literally. So if you haven't seen this video, I'd recommend to check it out. And here's like a picture of it. You see this fire, and then there's hail around it. And I think there were actually some deaths, if I remember right. So go check that video out. But anyway, the second angel, that's the one that we're talking about in this video. Third part of the sea becomes blood. Third part of living creatures of the sea die. Third part of the ships are destroyed. And then here's Bruce R. McConkie in Doctrinal New Testament Commentary. Perhaps the turning of the waters of Egypt to blood was in similitude of this great latter-day plague. So it's not really clear. It's not really clear if this is referring to this story right here, all these fish dying, or all these stories right here. It could be. Let's see. Let me come over here. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, which, who knows? That kind of sounds like a volcano, but I don't know. And the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. So I know that there's the temptation to think of this as like a literal fraction, like 33% of sea life will die. And again, I don't think that's what's being referred to here. When we're talking about numbers, especially in the book of Revelation and ancient Jewish writers and prophets, numbers convey different ideas and meanings. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I think of 1/3, I think about Satan and his followers. And there was an interesting thing I was told on my mission. I keep forgetting his name. I think it's Gerald in Lund. He came to Barcelona and he talked, and he pointed out the fact that when we were talking about a third of the host of heaven followed Satan, that it says a third part. So that we probably shouldn't literally interpret that as 33%, but that there's three parts and one part went with Satan, which to me makes a whole lot more sense. You have a group of people, you have like three basic schools of thought, those that are like really righteous, those that are just like, okay, we'll go to earth. And then Satan and his group where they're like, nope, we're not going. And that third part is the part that didn't come. And so I don't know if there's like a parallel or correlation between that and this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was. Now, one thing that I did is somebody on the channel, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to find the comment, but somebody had mentioned how so many ships were sunk during World War II. That could be fulfillment of this because it talks about a third part of the ships are destroyed. So what I did is I found this Wikipedia article. It's called List of Naval Battles. And I know it's Wikipedia. I know that it may not be perfectly complete, but from what I've seen, Wikipedia normally does a pretty good job. There might be some errors, but this can still, I think, serve to give you a rough idea of the major things that have happened at sea in terms of naval warfare. So this list of all these different battles and wars, it starts with 1275 BC with the Hittite Navy. And so what I did, and it actually wasn't too easy to do, but I found one way to kind of make it quicker. But I took a tally of all these battles. So just the battles, not the wars, the battles, and I broke it up by century. And I'll show you what I found. Let me zoom in. Okay, so this right here is not referring to the 12th century BC. This is talking about the 1200s, the 1100s, so on and so forth. Okay, so in the 1200s BC, there was one. 1100, there was one. And so you don't really get very much of a spike until about the 400s BC with 16. Okay. But you can see that this is all like in the pink. I have this color coded the same way that I do my word and phrase tracker. So it's just kind of like, whatever, there's stuff happening. And then when you get toward the end, it rises dramatically, especially in the 1600s. And when I say the 1600s, I mean 1600 to 1699, so that century. But the one that takes the cake is the 1900s. And this is when we had World War I and World War II, right? Things get pretty crazy starting maybe in like the 1500s. But after that, It's just really bad. This century so far has not been as bad. But look at this. We're already at 35. Well, and I can't even say, because look, we're in the year 2022. So we're only 22% of the way through this century, and we already have 35. Whereas look at the 1400s, there's only 15. The 1200s, there was 21. So I guess it is pretty bad, actually, come to think of it. But yeah, the year with the most, just based off of this list, is the 1900s, this century, the 20th century. So reading this, with that in mind, may give us a little bit better of a picture of what this is talking about. And a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. Yeah, there were a lot of ships destroyed in the 20th century. I'll tell you what. So, so the other thing, obviously, is all the fish. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do a little bit of a rehash of what I did in this video. Let's go through some of these. By the way, two of the best channels that you can go to keep on top of this, that do a really good job watching out for natural disasters and stuff like this happening, is Jason A. right here. Let me zoom in. I would recommend Jason A. and the Two Preachers. They do a really good job. Okay, so let's look at some of these. Let's go to this one. Go to site. Oh, and it's not available anymore. Let me click on it like that. No, it's not. This one's not available anymore, but the title of it was Millions of Dead Fish at King Harbor on Redondo Beach. Let's see if this one pulls up. Thousands of dead fish wash up from Gulf of Nicoya. And look at this. That's not sand. If you look at it closely, these are fish. It's not white sand or rocks. Disturbing images from Costa Rica's Gulf of Nicoya showed thousands of dead sardines washed ashore near the coastal town of Manzanillo. Preliminary online reports from various agencies, including Marine Conservation Group Fundación Mar Viva, say that the washed up hordes of fish were seen for a few kilometers. Look at all that. No exact cause for the incident is yet known. Okay, let's move on. Stinky, rotting fish are polluting Kentucky and Barkley lakes. Let's look at this. And this is called the Tennessean, so I guess this is probably in Tennessee. Yeah, it says right here, Tennessee. So this is going on in Tennessee. Because I think typically when you think about these kind of incidents, you think of coastal regions, but Tennessee, if you're not from the United States, Tennessee is pretty far inland. That's Tennessee right there. You smell them before you see them. It's the pungent stench of rotting fish that litter the shorelines of Kentucky and Barkley lakes. There are thousands of them, silver carp, that inexplicably are beaching themselves in both lakes and creating an unpleasant experience for anglers and recreational boaters. I'm not going to read too much from these. If you want to find out why they're dying in each instance, I'll give you the links below. But let's just get a general idea. Dead fish wash up along the shore of Jersey Shore Park. So this is New Jersey. Let's see, huge fish die off. in Washington's Puget Sound blamed on hot weather. Yeah, because one thing is that I guess warm water or hot water, not hot water, but like warm water, there's not as much oxygen in it, and so they suffocate. Let's see. Let's look at this one. Thousands of fish wash up dead in river channel in Matagorda, Texas. Let's find out where that's at. Matagorda, Texas. Okay, that's kind of along the, yeah, it's along the coastline. Ozarks, that's like in Missouri. Fish kill. Biologists explain why fish are dead by the hundreds at Lake of the Ozarks. Yeah, look, this is in Missouri. It's happening in Missouri. Okay, let's go to the next one. Dead fish and crabs wash up on shore of Wolfe's Pond Park. This is Staten Island, New York. It's part of New York City. Dead seabirds. Yeah, seabirds are part of sea life. Dead seabirds washing ashore on New England beaches. Okay, what about this one? Unknown contaminants likely to blame for dead fish at Swanpool. Reject all. Where's this at? Don't know where this is at. Falmouth? Where's Falmouth? I have no idea. All right, let's go to the next one. Thousands of tiny fish have been mysteriously washing up on Crinnis Beach in St Austell. Gosh, this is so annoying. Having to reject all the cookies. St. Austell woman Nikki Hodgson visited the Caroline Bay Beach on Friday. Let's see where this is at. Carleon Beach. Oh, that's in the United Kingdom. It's in the United Kingdom. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all of them, but look at this. Hua Hin Beach. That sounds like it's an Asian place. Italy. Kitty Hawk. That's in North Carolina. Irondequoit Bay in Erie Canal. Florida beaches. Old Orchard Beach. Cape Cod. That's Massachusetts. Iraq. Rockingham. France. Galveston, Texas. Spain. Tampa Bay, that's Florida. Rio de Janeiro in South America. So it's like everywhere. It's everywhere. So is this being fulfilled right now? Is it in the process of being fulfilled? I don't know. It could be. There sure is a lot of. It's not just like fish either. It's like the birds, crabs. There's also dolphins and everything. Everything's being affected. And then on top of that, the third part of the ships, yeah, and we're not even like looking at just like we're just looking at like military like warfare. That doesn't account for all the civilian ships that have been sunk, right? So I don't know. Things are pretty crazy right now, and yeah, I think I'm going to go with. I think that the half hour of silence is over. I know that there's the whole thing in D&C 88 that immediately after the half hour of silence, the heavens will be open. I can't remember how. Let's see. Let's find it really quick. Sorry, I'm not on my A game today. I don't know if you can tell or not, so I apologize. DNC 88. I'm going to search for half. Okay, zoom in. And there shall be silence in heaven for the space of half an hour, and immediately after shall the curtain of heaven be unfolded, as a scroll is unfolded, after it is rolled up, and the face of the Lord shall be unveiled. And the saints that are upon the earth who are alive shall be quickened and be caught up to meet him. And they who have slept in their graves shall come forth from their graves, shall come forth, for their graves shall be opened, and they also shall be caught up to meet him in the midst of the pillar of heaven. So, yeah. You know what? It might do us good to read before this, too, because I'm reading something here that's catching my eye. Okay, let's see. Abide ye in the liberty wherewith ye are made free. Entangle not yourselves in sin, but let your hands be clean until the Lord comes. For not many days hence, and the earth shall tremble and reel to and fro as a drunken man, and the sun shall hide his face, and shall refuse to give light, and the moon shall be bathed in blood, and the stars shall become exceedingly angry, and shall cast themselves down as a fig tree that falleth from off a fig tree. Remember, President Hinckley said that this has been fulfilled. This is done. It's over. And after your testimony cometh wrath and indignation upon the people. And after your testimony cometh the testimony of earthquakes, that shall cause groanings in the midst of her, and men shall fall upon the ground and shall not be able to stand. And also cometh the testimony of the voice of thunderings, in the voice of lightnings, and the voice of tempests, and the voice of the waves of the sea heaving themselves beyond their bounds. And it would seem that these things are underway, and they're probably associated with those angels. And all things shall be in commotion, and surely men's hearts shall fail them. And by the way, they've declared in General Conference that that's been fulfilled, that men's hearts have failed them. I better pull up that video in case anybody wants to watch it. Let's see. Prophecy General Conference. I did this video here. It runs for about an hour and seven minutes, where it just goes through a whole list of prophecies that have been declared in General Conference, including the moon turning to blood, the sun not giving his light, and what we're reading right now, they've talked about the waves of the sea heaving themselves beyond their bounds, men's hearts failing them. These things they've happened. They've happened. If you're looking forward to this happening, you're going to be waiting for a while. This has already happened. And it's according to this video that I made. And the video is based on General Conference. They tell it to our faces in General Conference. Okay. Let's see. Men's hearts shall fail them. Okay. And the angels shall fly through the midst of heaven, crying with a loud voice, sounding the trump of God, saying, prepare ye, O inhabitants of the earth, for the judgment of our God is come. Behold, and lo, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. And immediately shall appear a great sign in heaven, and all people shall see it together. And another angel shall sound his trump, saying, that great church, the mother of abominations, that made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, that persecuteth the saints of God, that shed their blood, she who sitteth upon many waters, and upon the islands of the sea, behold, she is the tares of the earth.
She is bound in bundles. Her bands are made strong. No man can loose them. Therefore she is ready to be burned, and he shall sound his trump both long and loud, and all nations shall hear it. And there shall be silence in heaven for the space of half an hour, and immediately after shall the curtain of heaven be unfolded, as a scroll is unfolded after it is rolled up, and the face of the Lord shall be unveiled. And the saints that are upon the earth who are alive shall be quickened and be caught up to meet him. Let's see. I think I probably bit off more than I can chew, but yeah, anyway, I don't know. I don't know how things are going to play out, but as far as the half hour of silence, I think that may have already happened before the angels were released. And remember, remember what it said when we go back here. Let's see. Hurt not the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, till we have... No, it wasn't here. I don't know. I'll probably have to save that for another time. I'm not sure where that was. No, I know where it was. It was in the... it was in here. Let's go up. Let's see. Tears. Right here. Okay, this is President Wilford Woodruff. God has held the angels of destruction for many years, lest they should reap down the wheat with the tares. So this makes you think about that, the separation of the wheat and the tares. Because if the angels were waiting many years to do the reaping, but they weren't loosed until 1893, then what does that tell you about reaping the wheat and the tares and the separation of the wheat and the tares? It seems like maybe by that point, they were already pretty separated. And things are just like becoming more and more and more separated since that time. Right? Just like how it says here, let's see, bound. Right here. And another angel shall sound his trump, saying, that great church, the mother of abominations, that made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, that persecuteth the saints of God, that shed their blood, who sitteth upon many waters, and upon the islands of the sea. Behold, she is the tares of the earth, she is bound in bundles. Her bands are made strong. No man can loose them. Therefore, she is ready to be burned. Yeah, so... I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that? Am I making any sense? It's just interesting that I'm trying to think about like the timing of the angels being loosed, 1893, and the wheat and the tares, because they weren't supposed to go before that time because they may accidentally root up the wheat along with the tares, which makes sense because before that point, the church was still new and things were still tender. You know, by this point, I can't remember exactly when it was that the word of wisdom was declared a commandment, but at this point, I think it still wasn't a commandment even. So things were very fresh and new, even by the time of President Wilford Woodruff dedicating the Salt Lake Temple. But it must be that now that time is over. You know, they don't need to worry so much about the wheat and the tares being mixed together, that they can safely do harvesting and bundling and burning without having to worry about hurting the wheat. So that's all. That's just a little interesting thing there. Okay, well that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.